All right, we're going to get started by with this video. We're going to cover how you might put a graphic on a coffee cup or water bottle. The software that's going to be easiest to use for that is probably Photoshop. So we're going to dive into Creative Cloud here. And if yours doesn't look like this, you may want to hit the Apps button. If you have not logged into Creative Cloud, you're going to hit the button that says Log in with um, Google, and it should walk you through the steps. Once you get there, you're going to go ahead and open up Photoshop. And we're going to start a new file. So go ahead and hit the new file button, and then over here I'm going to set it up to inches because it's easier for us to think about things in terms of the size and inches. Most folks aren't familiar with points or picas or pixels. So this is a Yeti coffee cup that I engraved one side. I was working on a logo for my son's college sailing team. The other side, I was experimenting with a graphic of Block Island. So how do I go about setting up my workspace? Well, the first thing I want to do is measure and figure out how big the area that I want to put on my coffee cup is. And this sailing graphic is about 3.5 inches tall by about, and I can look at the wrap around this bottle here because it's not a flat surface, so you want to you may want to bend a little something flexible around it and measure that. But my graphic's measuring about 3 inches wide. If you go much wider than that, what's going to happen is it's going to wrap too far around your water bottle, and if you're looking at it from one direction, you're not going to be able to see the whole graphic. So figure out what you want to look at, height-wise, width-wise, and then we're going to set up our Photoshop workspace so that all of that matches up. So I'm going to go with about let's double check that again. That's actually shorter than that. I'm going to go about 2 3/4 by 3.5. So my height is 3.5. And in your water bottle obviously is going to be different than this, but it's probably going to be somewhere in this ballpark, 2.75. And for my resolution, I'm going to set it up for 150 because that's probably all we need. So all that does is create this little white space for me here. Now next up we got to decide what we're going to put on here, and there's a lot of ways to go about this. It's something you can design on your own, something you can if you want to just put plain text on there, you can go that route. So if you're going with plain text, we're going to grab the text tool over here and go ahead and click on here, and it's going to create a new layer for you. You're going to see that show up here in Photoshop, and it puts some temporary text in there, and you can just type over the top of that, right? So maybe I want to put Block Island in there. Oops. All right. Notice that it wrapped down based on the size, and maybe I want it in that orientation. Maybe I want it to be straight in a line. Just like any other text, if you highlight it, you can start to format it. If these tools are not showing up for you, you can go up into Windows and start to pull out some of these tools that are going to help you work with various things, properties and so forth, and you can pull out these tabs. But right across the top, I have these options showing up for me as well. So you can, if you highlight that text, you can come in here, take a look at some different fonts that you might want to use, experiment with your fonts. Oops. That's showing centered, but notice that it's not centered in my workspace. So that's because the text block doesn't expand through my whole space. So if I wanted to do that, I would make my text block fit that space, or I can also just kind of center it on my own. Notice that I have these rulers up here, and those can be helpful as well. If you go into the ruler space, you can drag in guides. Now my overall water bottle or my Yeti cup the space that I'm working in is 2 3/4, so half of that would be 1 3/8. So that's my midpoint if I want to start to work in there. I can also pull in some graphics in here. You can resize things in several ways. If you hold the shift key down, I can distort these graphics, or if I'd rather size them using the actual text tools, I can go back, grab my text tool, highlight things, and I can size them in here, and they're going to be proportionally sized. All right, so any number of ways to work it. You want to get what you like for your design. I'm going to show you how to grab some images from Google. So just call up the your internet browser. Notice that I typed in Block Island silhouette, and then I went to images. And what that usually brings up for you is a nice black and white image. And if you know, let's just say I wanted the outline shape similar to the one that I already have, I can, in many cases, I can just simply come over here, right click, and copy the image, and then go back into Photoshop and go up here to edit and go to paste. Now you'll see that it's blocking out my text right now, and I've also got this fuzzy edge that I might not want. I can move my text layer on top, you know, and let's can experiment with this. Maybe I want this to be sitting up here. Maybe I want to angle it. Play around with that, but I might want to get rid of all of this other stuff, and I just want that black area to engrave. So how would I clean that up? Well, there's a number of ways to do it. Some of you guys might be Photoshop savvy, but one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to activate that layer, and I'm going to zoom in kind of tight, and there's a number of ways to do that. I'm going to use this tool right here. I'm going to come up here to my magic wand, and I want to make sure that it's not just contiguous. I want to select all of the black pixels that are here. And I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to hit Control minus to do that. And I've noticed that I've got just the black right now. And if I right click, I can do layer via copy. And it's going to make a copy of just that. Now if I turn off this layer, you can see that I just remained with my black outline. Now if I wanted to expand that out a little bit, I'm going to hit undo, and I'm going to turn that layer off. I'm going to go back to this layer for a minute, zoom in again, and just show you another trick that if you want, let's say I wanted those lines to be a little bit more bold, I could come in here with my magic wand again, select that, come up to selection, and go to modify, and I want to expand that selection just a tiny bit. I'm going to say, let's say 1 pixel even. And notice that it's a little bit wider now. While I have that selected, I'm going to go to layer via copy again. Actually, I'm going to take that back. I'm going to create a new layer. And now I'm working on this new layer. I still have that selection set. I'm going to turn the other layer off. I just have these marching ants for a moment. I'm going to come over here to my, where is it? My paint bucket, and I'm just going to fill that in. I have this set to black. I'm going to fill that into black, and now if I zoom out, I have a slightly, hit Control D, it'll get rid of your marching ants. I have a slightly more bold version. To be honest, I kind of like the original one better. So whenever you do things in Photoshop, you've got a history that you can work with. And I'm going to go back to, I think it was somewhere in here. Yep, I'm going to go to that one. Go back that far. Do another layer via copy. Oops. Why isn't it doing it? Yeah. All right. And I like that one better. So that I've ran this video too long now. Mr. Goss or I could help you out, but that's pretty much what you need to do. You need to set up your workspace. You need to decide on what you want for graphics. And you can pull pretty much anything that's school appropriate off the internet. What you don't want to do is try to pull in photos. The best thing that's going to engrave is a black and white image. It's going to cut cleanly. If you pick anything with any color, it's not going to engrave right.